Hey everybody, welcome back to the vlog. So this is going to be a little bit of a short vlog, but the new Canon EOS M5 just came out. And I did a lot of rumors about this camera months ago, and now it finally hit B&H. So I'm really excited, and I guess you guys should be too, because it is mirrorless. It is a mirrorless offering from Canon, which they don't have many. And this is the predecessor to the Canon M3, right? So is it good? Is it not? I'm going to touch on first on what it has in the camera itself. What are its features? And then I want to kind of get into, what do I think about the camera? Is this, for example, maybe a Canon 80D killer? Is this a vlogger's dream camera? Is this a really, really great mirrorless option from Canon, or did they, drop the ball? What is the answer? But first and foremost, the specs on the camera. So the camera itself has a 24 megapixel CMOS sensor. It is APS-C. Now that doesn't make me happy. I spoke about this in the past. I really wanted to see Canon go the same way as Sony has with their mirrorless options, with their A7 options, like the A7S2, the A7R2. These are all mirrorless, but they are full frame. I am a full frame junkie. I personally think larger pixels, good quality large pixels, are just better than smaller good quality pixels. But nevertheless, they did not go down that route. They did go APS-C. The one thing that kind of saves them, in my personal opinion, is they used the sensor that came out of the 80D. So if you know the 80D, 80D is the vlogger's dream camera, right? It is the predecessor of the 70D, which most of the high-end vloggers out there were using forever. So that means it inherits its dual pixel sensor, right? It's dual pixel autofocusing system, so it can really track face, it can track subject, and all of this type of stuff. So it is a really good sensor. Now, it shoots at 100 ISO up to 25,000. It uses a Digic 7 processor, not a Digic 7 Plus, and it doesn't have 2, it just has 1. It does shoot up to 9 frames per second, which is really great. That's locked focus. Unlocked, I think it's 7 frames, but that's still really quick. Also the EVF, really nice EVF here, 2.3 million dots on this EVF. And what they're saying is there is no blackout. Now that is one of my major beefs when it comes to mirrorless cameras, is when you look through that EVF, if you're a DSLR shooter or an SLR shooter, film guy from way back or whatever, what you see is what you get for the most part, within a few percent. Whereas with an EVF, what you see sometimes, it goes black in between pictures, sometimes it's just slightly off, sometimes it's just not right? I'm not a fan of the EVF, but they are getting better. This one is supposed to be better, and no blackout. That means in between photos, you're not gonna go black. That is fantastic when you're shooting fast-moving subjects, right? So if you're shooting your kid and your kid's running around, you look, you take a shot, now everything goes black and you're like, what happened? You're not ready for that next shot, okay? Or if you're shooting sports or anything like that. So a EVF that doesn't go black is awesome. So next, the screen itself, the back screen is articulating, right? Which is good. It does rotate 180 degrees and it goes up and down, which is nice. Now, it also shoots full HD 1080p. They do not incorporate 4K. I don't know why. I think they should. I think 4K is a standard these days, but it's 1080p. What they did give us is slow motion, up to 60 frames per second. So at 1080p, you'll be able to shoot 24 frames per second, 30, as well as 60. Not bad. Also, it has built-in Wi-Fi, NFC, and Bluetooth. So that means you can take a look at your images that you shot on your camera, basically by putting your camera away, just leaving it on into your bag, and going onto your phone and using Canon's free software and flipping through your pictures. That's really cool, especially if you want to share these high-end pictures, let's say on Facebook or on Instagram or wherever you'd like to share them. So that's really great. Also, it has digital IS built into the camera, so it's image stabilization. stabilization. I believe it's a 5-axis image stabilization built into it. That's awesome. That means that if you have an IS lens and you marry it to this IS camera, it's getting double IS. And now I've seen some video clips of this in action, and it really works great, guys. The image stabilization is unbelievable. Really, really nice. Now, finally, it also has peaking, right? So I am a fan of focus peaking because that allows you to look through the EVF and see what's in focus and not have to try to figure it out. What it does is it takes, let's say if you have a background that's yellow, you can go and change it to say your peaking is blue. So wherever you see blue halo over stuff, you know that's what's in focus. Let's say if you have something that is blue, now we want to go and add red. So we can go and change that peaking to red, and now everything that's red in the scene is going to be what's in focus, or what it thinks is in focus. So that's really good. It's a really quick way to know that you're getting your focus right, or at least what subject is in focus while you're actually recording or while you're taking photos. So I like that. Now it's going to come in 3 different versions. One, you can buy the body alone. Next, you can get the body with a 14 to 45 millimeter. And finally, you can get the body with a 18 to 150 telephoto. Now, the only problem that I have with these lenses are they are this meandering F, I call it, right? So it's f 3.5 to f 6.3. So when you're at the top of the zoom, you're at 6.3. When you're at the bottom, you're at 3.5. I hate that, guys. Whenever you buy a lens, don't buy these type of lenses. Buy a lens that is consistent. Get something that's 4.0, something that shoots at 2.8, right? Or maybe f1.8 or 1.4, whatever it is. But this way you take an entire, let's say, ingredient out of the mix, right? You limit the amount of problems that you end up having after the fact, because now you know what the camera's gonna do. Every time you zoom in and things get darker because it's going up to, let's say, f6.3, that's not what you want, right? You want consistency. You want a consistent f whatever, right? That's my personal opinion. Now, so getting into kind of my thoughts on the camera. All in all, as far as the specs go, they sound really good. There's 2 problems. Number 1, I don't like that they're shooting on an APS-C sensor. Even though they went with the 80D sensor, which is dual pixel AF and on and on and on. It's a really good sensor. It's not that it's bad, okay? But I really think that Canon dropped the ball. They do not have a very good mirrorless option out there in comparison to Sony. And now that Sony has been offering full frame for so long, and Canon is coming right back, now we have Photokina in a week, let's say, and they're just showing basically an APS-C mirrorless option. Why? Why? They had the ability to put in a full frame, okay, and now literally be on the same level. It of course would be more expensive, but hey, we would somehow get at least close to Sony's level. Right now, Sony has been eating Canon's lunch for like ever now. Canon just came out with the 5D Mark IV, which is a really, really good camera, but I think that they have problems with that also, that there's just things that they didn't hit on. For example, 4K, right? The way they did 4K is just simply 24 and 30 frames per second, nothing in slow-mo. There's other things I don't like about that camera also, but you can see another video that I did regarding that to get more detailed. But back to the M5 at hand. The other thing that I think they dropped the ball on was, since they used the 80D sensor, this camera could have been the vlogger's dream camera. I mean, every big vlogger out there would have bought this camera, okay? If they would have simply got that articulating back screen to articulate to the left, to the right, or up, preferably left or right. Okay. Instead, they have it articulating 180 degrees down. Well, guys, if you have your camera on a tripod, now if you put the thing down, what are you going to see? You're going to see nothing. You're going to see a tripod pole, right? I mean, why, Canon? You're like so close, and then you just gobble it up again. Why? Why? You could have got it. So even if they didn't get the sensor right, in my personal opinion, if they would have got this articulating screen right, like I said, it would have been like an 80D killer. It would have been the predecessor to the 80D. It would have been the mirrorless 80D, if you want to call it that. but it could have been a vlogger's dream camera, especially since it has this dual pixel and all of this great focus tracking that's built into it. So my personal opinion on the camera is, I think it's an awesome, awesome camera. But I think Canon dropped the ball in certain areas, sensor and articulating back screen. So I guess you guys will be the decision makers on how many of you go out and buy the camera. So even though I'm a Canon shooter, right? I'm not a Canon fanboy. I'm just gonna call it as it is. I'm gonna tell you how I see it to be. That doesn't mean that I'm right, but I'm still just gonna call it as I see it. Period. Personally, as a commercial and fashion photographer, a lot of times I'm bringing in Hasselblads, right? Why do I bring in the Hassies? Because they have medium format sensors in there and I get big, massive pixels that I can push and pull and squeeze to get those, for example, magazine covers just right? So for me, I think the camera is great, but I just think that it kind of falls short. It could have been awesome, but falls short. So anyways, guys, that's it for this vlog. Once again, if you like the content, throw me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to head over to my website over at JCristina.com, where I have a lot of the photography tools that I've invented over the years, and some of them might be nice for you. Also, don't forget to subscribe down below. I would really appreciate it. And then as the content becomes available, you'll get it immediately. So that's it, guys. I am out of here for yet another vlog. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot, guys, for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Take care.